Okay, we'll begin sort of having a bit of a look at the Autodesk user interface, Revit user interface. And generally you're faced with something like this when you first come in, and your previous projects will be sitting here, yours will be different. But we'll just head over to new here, and you've got 4 different templates. We'll begin with the architectural one because that's the house we're going to end up drawing in the end. And of course there's no surveying one there, or not yet anyway. So let's go to OK then. Alright, now what will just open up is what they call a project. Project finishes in a file extension called RVT for Revit. There was another option there to the right hand side in that dialog box, which was a family or a template. But templates are RTE and families are RFA. Families are a bit like, I don't know if you use blocks in BricsCAD at all, inserting a block or a symbol. That's what they call family in here. They don't call it blocks or symbols. Yeah. So that's, the user interface might come in like this, or it might come in differently for you. Sometimes it comes in with this thing underneath that other one. So, yeah, and you have there's a tab. You have to sometimes it's a tab. It's not 2 halves. It's actually right on top of it. But yeah, if it's underneath, you can just click under there, or you can just try and move it out like I have. It's a bit difficult when you have 2 screens though, like you have. It doesn't seem to want to dock on the side of it.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
Yeah, because and if you don't dock it, you sort of end up losing this little bar under here, underneath this thing, the little visual styles and all that sort of thing in the status bar. So you've got to be careful that's not missing and you're looking for it. But anyhow, what we have in essence though, we have the project browser, which basically gets you navigating. It's a bit like BricsCAD or AutoCAD have a layout tabs for where you go to your paper space. These are pretty much those things. They're like layout spaces everywhere, or sheet spaces, whatever you want to call them. So that's what they are. But in essence, they're not separate. They're all linked together. So if I draw my plan on the ground floor plan, it will appear in my north and south elevations automatically in 3D. So essentially you're drawing in 3D, but you're producing 2D drawings as an output in the main of it. All right. So the sheets are usually here. There's one already in there, but there's nothing in there on it. And the families, these are all the families that happen to be loaded in this drawing, but you can have more. There you go, parking. It's a parking lot apparently in here. It looks like that. Sorry, I just having to expand out the parking lot, and there's furniture. But you can always. There's not much in there, but you can always bring more by going to the Insert tab and just load more family. And unlike AutoCAD and BricsCAD, this thing comes with an array of stuff that you can download from the Insert tab and family. Of course, you can also search on a number of websites to get anything you like. One of them is seek.autodesk.com, and they've got a lot of stuff on there. Not sure how much it's got as far as surveying stuff goes, but because I never looked. But there's quite a few sites. Another one is CADU. Other one is revitcity.com. So a few like that. All right, so we'll leave that there. Won't complicate that anymore. All right, so we'll just start off with the ground floor plan. I'm in the ground floor plan because I know that's bold there, as you can see. So that's what I'm drawing in now. If I was on level 1, that becomes bold. All right, so we'll start off with the ground level. We're going to be drawing on the flat ground, basically, as we usually do. But go back to the architecture tab. As you can see here, there's the architecture tab, structure tab. Systems is basically air conditioning and piping and electrical stuff. And inserting, annotating is where you dimension things, basically. A spot elevation. There you go. So you can displays the elevation of a selected point. So that's a good way of getting a level on something, I suppose. Displays the north, south, east, west coordinates of points. So north, south, east, any other? North or south. Okay. So it's northings or eastings for us, isn't it? Because some places work with what, southings and westings or something today. I heard that there is actually. Was it South Africa? I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Anyway.
Unless they use your four.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Doesn't make sense. Oh well. Anyway, so that's that. Analyze massing and site. We've looked at that briefly, and here's where we're going to do a bit of work and down the track with topographic stuff and inserting contours and levels contours, levels, and a surface. See how we go. Property lines. So this is where you put in your what they call through ListCAD normally lot lines or lot lines. Your boundary lines, basically. Yeah. So that's that. So basically, that's a bit of an introduction to that. Over here, you've got your properties. So everything's got a bit of a property. Because I haven't got anything highlighted or whatever, all I'm looking at now is the properties of this view. And by all intents and purposes, this is just like a viewport in AutoCAD or BricsCAD or whatever. Have you done anything much? Obviously, you've done some viewports, seeing that drawing. Pivot space, model space, so you put viewports. So imagine this is your viewport, and even with that, you've set your scale, it's 1:100 or whatever it might be, the house. Here's the same, you've got your scale here. So however you see it here is how it's going to print out on the page when we drag this viewport onto the sheet here. This is how it works. You sort of drag the viewports onto the sheet afterwards. But first you build your model, and then you drag them on there. All right, so we've got nothing to show at this point. And the viewport has some sort of extents already drawn. The viewport's already drawn for you, but you can't see it because it's turned off. So basically they've turned off the layer viewport, if you might want to put it that way. If you draw your viewport in a particular layer, like you do in CAD, they've turned it off. And this is how you turn it on, by coming down here under the extents, and you just tick all three of these on. Once you do the second one, the top one comes. Now, I still can't see it. That's because it's way out here. And if I click in, maybe it's further out. Well, that's a bad example because it's not coming up. Oh, this has gone off again. I don't know why it's gone off. Anyway, there it is. So that's my viewport that's in here. So I can make this bigger and smaller. All right. So basically, you draw your little house in here. You don't want to have a big viewport around it because when you drag it on the sheet, it sort of draws that rectangle around it and just takes up space for no reason. It looks a bit messy. So we'll turn before we print, we'll turn this on, and then we'll just drag this back to the size of our house, so it's only nice and snug around the house. All right. So we'll explain that a bit later on. The notes that you have here, unfortunately, when we come to assemble it doesn't explain how you're going to do that little step. So we're going to make sure I show you that through the video at the time. That's something that's marked down for improvement for the next lot, but I haven't had time to actually add that in. All right, so okay, so let's we'll just turn this off again and just draw something. Just turn it off. Now, basically, when you're drawing, you want to aim to put your house in the middle of this. All right. Now, the coordinates of where this is in real world can be changed afterwards. Just because your surveyors, I better just tell you. Most architects don't care where it is. All right. So, but if I go to the site here, that central location is the same as, this central location here. So, in the site, I can go and set up my project coordinates. I can tell it where that point is in the real world. So, and I can move it to the corner of the house if I want, or whatever. So first of all, we'll draw a house, then we'll worry about orientating it to true north and whatever afterwards. All right, so that can be done retrospectively anyway. Okay, so for now we don't have to worry about where we are in the world. Just suffice to say that it can be fixed up afterwards. All right. So we'll just look at this house. Now we're not going to draw this particular house at this point. I just want you to start playing around with a few commands and basically, it's a bit short on that, I can't. If I go to architecture, I'll get you to draw a wall. Now there's a couple of different walls here. There's the architectural one and there's the structural. Essentially they're the same thing, except for if the wall is structural and you want to insert this drawing, say, or link this drawing, that's what they'll call it. It's like an external reference in AutoCAD. If you want to link this drawing into, say you've done your architectural, you want to give it to the structural guy to do the structural stuff in the future. If the wall is architectural, when they bring it into their structural template, no walls will show up. Because it says they're not load bearing, I'm not interested, I'm the structural man, I just want to see structural stuff. So if you're intending a wall to be load bearing, in other words carry the roof or whatever, you need to, yeah. Okay, back to it. So basically, we generally do everything in structural wall, so that way there's not a problem down the track. All right, not a big deal for you guys if you forget, and it can be changed afterwards. You know, it's not a big deal. All right, so once we get this here, this is a bit like the AutoCAD. I'll keep saying AutoCAD, BricsCAD, the same thing. Command line options. All right. So these are your options, and they change with different commands. You know, if it's a wall, you get different options. So what we want to do generally is constrain our wall, especially if it's a single-story building, to level 1. So at the moment we're drawing on level ground, which is 0, and then level 1 will be whatever. In this example, level 1 is at, I know it is at level 4,000, so it's pretty tall sort of ceiling area. So eventually we can bring this down to 2.7 or whatever. But if we constrain our walls to that level, then if we change the level to say 2700, it'll bring the wall down with it automatically. All right. So let's do that. What I want to do is set up perhaps a wall that's 250 timber frame, brick veneer. This one here. It's the same wall we're going to use in the project here. So, all right. So what we also want to do is this is a bit of a problem. You should make it so it draws the height, not the depth. So you don't draw walls downwards, you draw them upwards. So don't ask me why it's like that. Just ignore this thing here. It says the default wall setting will be changed. Yes, I know. And also constrain it so it draws it to level 1 rather than unconnected, which means it'll draw it to 8,000 millimeters high, which is a bit too tall. 8 meters for you, it's the same thing. And the center line, wall center line. Okay, so when I click to draw the wall, is at the center of the wall, and it's drawing it to the side of where I clicked, or what? Generally, I go to the finish exterior for this demonstration. So let's do that. Chain meaning it'll just keep drawing walls until you say stop. All right, and you can have an offset as well from where you click. You can draw it, say 600 away, but we're not going to do that. No, that could be handy in a surveying thing if you pick something a bit away from the fence line or whatever. But here we'll just do that. All right. So once we do that, we also get presented with many of the commands. This little additional little green sort of thing here. You know, on top of the normal modify command. So here we have a choice of drawing straight lines, or rectangular, or round walls. So really, this is how we change it. We can have an arced wall. Right? So generally, you want to do a straight wall. So if I just try and draw somewhere in here, now these little symbols here are my little elevation symbols, which correspond to where it's looking at the house. And then if I click here, it'll see the house if I click on the south elevation or whatever. If I draw my house over here, those symbols are not looking at my house, so I won't see anything when I go to my east-west elevation or whatever. All right. So you're going to draw it in here. So you just click somewhere and just draw a line. Doesn't matter how big it is, but you can put numbers. It's up to you. We'll just draw something. I'm going to put mine 10,000. Yeah. So just get used to putting in millimeters. 10,000 for now. I'll investigate the meter bit after. Let's go to 8,000 that way, and then the rest just make it up. I don't even know what it is. Just keep going. Just do some shape like this. Notice when you come up to opposite to the other wall, it will line it up as well. So you can do that if you want. If you come to the opposite to that wall, it sort of lines it up. So that's handy. And then here. Now the enter, like AutoCAD, you have escape or enter to come out of the line command, for example. This one here, you can use the same a couple of times to escape. If I escape once, it gets out of that, but it leaves you in the wall command, so I can still draw more walls. If I escape one more time, it will come out of the wall tool altogether. Or this top left arrow here is like the enter in AutoCAD to finish a command, but it's called modify here, and that finishes that command there.